In 2019, former Nervosa members Fernanda Lira and Luana Dametto are joined by Sonia Anubis and Taina Bershamachi to form the Brazilian Dutch and metal band Crypta. In the middle of the pandemic, the band set out to craft their debut record, Echoes of the Soul. In this exclusive 99W NRR Launchpad Live interview with Fernanda Lira, we talk about the new record and what it took to be a successful all-female band in the death metal genre, and more. This is an exclusive Launchpad Live 99W NRR interview with Fernanda Lira.
Hey everyone, this is Fernanda, bassist and singer for death metal band Crypta, and you're listening to 99W NRR. Stay metal! Hello.
Fernanda, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good. What about you?
Not bad. This is a pretty exciting time for you.
Yeah.
This is a very, very exciting time. This is a very unique story because this is something that has come together so fast. You know, it starts in 2019. You literally record the album around, just in around January. And here we are, not only 6 months later, mixed, remixed, mastered, done, and ready to go out the door in June. What does that feel like?
It feels just amazing. And I'm actually really surprised that you said, wow, it came out pretty fast and everything, you know, because like from our fans, we've been hearing the exact opposite. It's like, really? Where's the music? It's been like a year that everyone's like, where's the music? I can't take it anymore. It's like, so, I mean, we did our best to try and find like balance to, of course, like get the album out as soon as possible, but also not rushing it. So in order, like for us to actually deliver a very good material. So we didn't feel pressured, but I mean, I could understand the fans, like they were anticipating this like a lot, but we made sure there was to find a balance. But yeah, now it's there and almost there. And we're so happy. We couldn't be like any happier, I guess. Like not only with the feedback from the singles and everything, but right, from all the journals I've been talking to, like they all like really like the album and everything. And we've been able already to start like planning tours and it looks like great so far. So yeah, we couldn't be any happier. I mean, not only with the album, because I think that's the main important thing. Of course we want people to like the album, like and have fun listening to it. But I think the main thing, like the most important thing, first thing is that we ourselves enjoy the album and we like that very much. So yeah, not only we're happy with the album and how it came out, but with all the feedback and expectation. I just hope like people think it was worth the wait and like that their expectations were met and everything. So I just can't wait.
I just tell you, after hearing it, I have no doubt that they're going to absolutely love the record. I have no doubt that they're going to love the record. I have no doubt. Yeah.
Thank you.
And you mentioned touring, and while I have a list of some thoughts that I wanted to ask you. You mentioned touring, and obviously not be remiss if we didn't discuss that and talk about, wow. I mean, we just right here in the state of New Jersey, where I'm talking to you from, we just got the okay, masks off as of Friday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That seems so far away from Brazil right now. Damn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, exactly. And I've actually gotten both of mine. They gave me mine, so I'm all vaccinated too. But that's still, awesome. As we know, that's not everywhere. But we all also know that there are some places opening up, and some of the UK festivals are opening up, and some of the heavier festivals are finally getting going. And so it looks like sometime towards the end of the summer, looks like we'll be kind of getting back to normal. It's been a long time coming. What does that mean to you?
First of all, like this makes me really glad because I just want I'm not only thinking about me, I'm thinking globally. Like I just can't wait this whole thing ends because it's affecting us in so many different ways. And some people in some countries, like the situation is really worse than in others. So I just like in a general way, I just want this to end and we could get back to normal, which we don't know, which is going to be the new normal. normal. So,
Yeah,
but
with the new normal.
I just want this to end. And as for us, I mean, like when I mentioned like this sounds so far away from us here in Brazil, it's because it really is. I mean, we have one of the best public health systems in the world. Like it works super well, and we could be. Like we have the capacity and the ways to do so. So we could be like vaccinating like around 3 million people a day here. That's what we could afford doing. But unfortunately, you know, like every day, like there's an investigation on the federal government going on. And every day there's news like regarding like vaccines, like August last year were like denied. And there were like 11 denials of vaccines and stuff. So that's why it's going, you know, like pretty slow. We could be going like way faster. But right now, like it's just nearly topping. Like it's, for me personally, it's so far away. Like it's so far away. I don't know if I can get back this year, to be honest, you know, like, and the girls in the band, they're like on their early 20s. They're probably going to get vaxxed like next year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, and that's sad. That's sad, you know, like not only because there's still like lots of people dying and everything, but also because, you know, like our sector here, like, which is, you know, like entertainment and shows and everything is going to be the last one, like literally the last one to go back to normal. So if people don't, you know, like if the government and people also like don't do their part on making things faster, it's gonna be pretty complicated. It can get complicated, you know, but still we're planning. Like there's lots of planning. Like we're sitting here at home like isolated, but planning is full force. we just want to make sure that whenever there's like this green flag saying, okay, tours are on, like we just want to make sure we just pack and go, you know, like, and for that it involves like lots of planning. So we definitely have stuff planned for Europe. We do have, even though like we have no idea when things are going to get back to normal here, we already have like a couple of tours being planned for Central America and South America. We're definitely looking for options for North America. So yeah, I mean, planning is full force. We just, now the only thing we need is people actually liking the album and spreading the word about it, so promoters are interested. And also that we get back. Like we'll have to find a way of getting back and just get on tour. But yeah, but still we're working.
Speaking of which, listening to the record, and you know, obviously with the most recent release, Starvation, there was something I picked out which really caught my ear, which was the lyric that the body eats itself to survive. Every lasting cell burnt to keep me alive. My old tactic of sleeping to forget won't work this time. This is my deathbed. Now, aside, while being self-explanatory in some respects, there seems to be something else behind it. And without giving away, you know, everything about it, what are you talking about there?
Basically, Starvation. I mean, it talks about like starvation, and it does have like a political kind of thing on this song. Like it is a protest song somehow, but just described in a very poetic, philosophical way, you know, like on this with Crypta, I decided not to do like straightforward, like protest songs because it's a death metal band. And it's not very typical in a genre. But I still would like to make people think about it, you know, like think about some of the topics they talk about on the songs. And Starvation is one of them because like we go to bed every day, like, you know, like sometimes with our full stomach and everything. And we forget that there's like 1 billion people every day that go to bed like starving. And it's so sad. And I just wanted, like, I was like, how can I make people stop and think about it? And I was like, okay, I'll just describe someone starving. So maybe like you can try and think what it would be to be on this person's shoes. And for that, like I really studied, I read a lot. And there are a couple of people in my family who starved like when they were kids, like my mom, for example. And I was writing down whatever they told me. And that's how I got to this lyrics, you know, like and when doing research, I was like very surprised because our body like is amazing. And I was really surprised that it would even like eat its own tissue, like muscle tissues, in order to create some energy for us to endure like one more day. So that's why people get like skeletal and stuff like that, like because the body actually eats muscles in order to make you survive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was like literal. It was literal, but yeah, I just wanted to maybe get people to think about it and what can I do for it? Maybe I'll donate like $5 a month for an organization, or I'll waste less food or whatever. Just at least make you think about it. And yeah, but I'm curious too as to what did you think might be like underneath the lines there.
Well, from personal experience is why from personal health experience is why I gravitated towards that when I saw it. And I was just like, that's true. And I'll off the record, and I know it always makes people feel awkward, but I think you write such honest lyrics. Me myself, I've battled leukemia for 6 years, so I'm in that. I saw that, and it spoke to me. So I knew that. I know the struggle. I know the fight. And when I said, everybody tries to eat, the thing, and even just the invader or whatever you want to call it. I personally don't think that. I don't think that way about it. I'm more of a let's just go. Live every day till it's most and just rock the hell out, because life is a gift. But I saw that and I'm like, yeah, I relate to this. This whole track speaks to me in a lot of ways, and that's why I brought it up. So so thank you for diving into that, because I wanted to. But the dichotomy of this is interesting, and this is not something that I wrote down, just in hearing you speak. And we're gonna smash all the stereotypes in this interview, because I hate labels. Okay.
Yeah.
I hate labels, but just there is obviously death metal bands and a stigma that of what they write about, but yet I always think of that nurturing aspect of a woman, right? And I go, and it just came out and you were talking about that when you're talking about real starvation and people and the humanity of it, which is kind of the antithesis of a lot of death metal bands. And like you said, there's a dichotomy involved in there. Does the woman part come out sometimes when you're sitting there talking about and writing this stuff and go, hey, you know what? This is kind of positive in a way. How do you work that, and how do you deal with that in your writing process? These are amazing reflections, and this is an amazing question because I love talking about the lyrics. And first of all, what I think is magical about lyrics is that everyone can have different interpretations of that based on their own experiences. That's the magic, because I'll write something that's personal to me, like related to some core beliefs I have or experiences I had to go through, but there will be always someone who will like interpret that in a different way according to what they live and what they believe. And this is magical to me. This is amazing. Second thing is, I did wanted to go a little bit against the label that, like if you're talking about death metal, you need to go gory or you need to talk about demons. And I watch gore movies and like I've read about demons, but I think that there's many things. I use my lyrics as my main way of expressing myself. It's my biggest tool of expression. And there are lots of things that I want to talk about. There are lots of things that I think we should think of. There are many things that I think we should debate as a society or individuals or whatever. So I like to use my lyrics for this, I always did. And I planned on keep on doing that, but I tried to adapt to death metal. So every lyric in the album is related to death in a way, but it can be like metaphorical death. It can be ego death, as if in Kali, like many different ways of death. And, but now also about the woman thing. I don't know, like talking about energy, like in a more energetic way that, like the feminine energy, it's usually more receptive and sensitive to the surroundings. And I think in this way, I really use my feminine energy to approach all these aspects, because like me on my daily routine, like I'm a social, like activist in a way that I'm always like, I'm paying for people's rent. I'm organizing like food stuff or donate to people. So I'm always doing something like for society in a way. And
also I'm very extremely sensitive to people struggling, like, so yeah, I kind of use that to try and write and create debates and everything. And let me see what else. Yeah. And as for the rest of the lyrics, like most of them talks about psychological processes, like, and things I had to go through to endure difficult times. And I think especially nowadays that we've been through such a trying times. I think many people could, like, look at the lyrics and like, oh, so I'm not alone in this. So, oh, this kind of helps me out, like living whatever I'm going through. So yeah. But there's a lot of sensitivity, like lots of, sometimes I even got emotional, like with my own lyrics. I'm kind of drowned in like the promotional thing, like of the band. And now that you actually read a part of the lyrics, I nearly started crying because they're strong lyrics. They have like
they are
strong meaning. So yeah,
they are.
I don't know if it got a little bit confusing.
No, that not at all. Not at all. They just hit me like that, and so I was drawn to them, and that's why I wanted to ask that question personally. On two different levels, I wanted to ask that question. Let's talk about that as far as, where we talk about, and I hate the word female fronted. I hate the word all female band, but some people would say that that's a coat of armor. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like, does it feel like a coat of armor because if it is an all female death metal band, or is it something that you just say, you know what, we don't like, we just want to be known as a great death metal band?
I love this interview. We're breaking down so many nice things and labels. I don't know what you expect listening from me, but I actually like the label, like this label, and I'll explain why. Only us girls know how difficult it is being a girl in the metal scene. Like it's been more and more welcoming, like many changes have been coming, like people are starting to get more used to girls in there, but still there are many hardships we need to face. For example, I can't count how many times I've been prevented on getting into my own dressing room because people didn't believe I was in a band. They thought I was a groupie or whatever, or I was with the band. And I don't know how many times I got on stage and I've heard people commenting about my body and stuff. I can't count how many times I got on stage and I felt like I had to prove that I could also do it, like play. And so it's just many, many, many things, like, and people usually say that, well, if there's a label there, it makes easy because, like you get more attention when you're a girl playing metal and everything, as if this was only on a good side. There's like so many bad things. Like, for example, how many times I've heard that to get on the show, either I paid for that or either I someone to be there.
Yeah, like, exactly.
This is usual. I get this like many times. When we started back then with Nervosa, like I got so much of that. And now with Crypta, it's it's never that we're capable. Yesterday, I read a comment that was like, it was intended to be an attack, but it was actually a great compliment. And it made me think like that people will always try and create like so many excuses not to admit that we can play also. The comment was like, kudos to the whoever was there in the label, something like that, and actually went out picking these girls because there's no way this is an original band with like all these talented musicians. And it's like, to me, that's a great compliment. But I think he meant to say like, yeah, this is a fake band that, the label put it together and stuff like that. So we're always getting comments like this. And also the comparison thing, like comparing us with Nervosa and stuff like that. Like you don't get this a lot with like all male bands, but like with girls, it's always like, there's always a competition going on that people try to create. So it's just really hard. And it's a battle. It's a daily battle. And to me, that's why I carry the label like all girl band, because to me, it's a flag I raise with like, yeah, it's so hard, but I'm still here and I'm proud. I'm proud of being a girl who endured being a girl in a metal scene or whatever, like, so I don't mind the label. I love the label because to me, it represents a struggle. It represents a fight, which I'm really proud of. So you can call me an all-girl band and I'll love it because that's what we are. And it's pretty hard being a girl in the metal scene still. And I'm doing that. And I'll still be like an all-girl death metal band until we don't actually need this label anymore, when things will be cool and will be respected as much as men. So I love this label.
and it goes back to the old adage too, which is still a pain in the ass when I hear it, is that when if a woman acts tough, right? If a woman has to be tough to be, it's not a woman being strong. She's a bitch, which is, that to me, I've never been able to understand. How is that? But why is that? Why do you have to label that? Why do you think that she's being that way? Maybe she's just strong. Maybe she's, standing up for herself. That's fine. That's not being a bitch. And that's that's what comes along with the territory too, which is ridiculous, especially especially being in a metal band.
Yeah.
When you're supposed to be hard, when you're supposed to have an edge, you're supposed to be a hard ass to it. You know what I mean? But yet that label still comes along, and you have to be. It has to be a derogatory statement made, which is completely ridiculous and uncalled for.
Yeah, and there's like other things that I can really notice, like when people are talking about like a male band or an all-girl band. First of all, clothes. If a girl like wears like tough or whatever, like, oh, now she wants to prove that she's tough. But then if the girl plays with like tops and like micro shorts, oh, there she is. She needs to sell her body in order to show off and get her music out there. So like, what do you want us to wear?
Exactly. It's a no-win scenario, right? It's a no-win scenario. You can't win. It's a battle wherever you go.
Exactly. And like I've heard, we started getting like, because, like our music apparently is pretty decent and people have been, like enjoying that. I started listening comments about our clothes right now. Yeah, they dress like they are like metal teenagers. Funny thing is, I never heard this about Kronos or like Rob Halford with all these studs and everything. But if they're women,
oh my God,
it's the teenage girls. Same thing with Kronos. Like he's always doing like all those faces on stage and like, welcome to hell. And I love doing that. It comes natural to me. But with me, like, can you please stop forcing this? Like, we know you're super sweet. Like, can't I have a character on stage?
Well, let's talk about that.
Really tough.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that is actually in what I was thinking about when I was looking at some of the images and stuff like and watching some of the play. When we talk about, I called it, let's talk about fashion for a second. And we talk about the gear. The whole look has been part of, since it's been handed down, from priest to maiden, all the way down the line. Do you think it's part of not only the persona, but a brand, and it's so essential to the look? I mean, look how many bands that, that we look at that are just go up in jeans and a t-shirt, and it's uneventful. And so many of the death metal bands, dark metal, symphonic metal, to me, are the carriers of the torch of the original metal bands. Do you feel that way? Yeah.
I think, it's fine if you want to wear it, but it's also fine if you don't want to wear it. I think it depends on the intention and what do you want with the band, I personally think the metal looks, like all the studs and everything, they contributed a lot, like throughout the history there of metal, on like shocking society, and we did that naturally, and also create the whole imagery and like the whole magic. Like metal is a different world. There's this whole magical thing going on, with all the stage props and everything, like that sometimes create a story, and it's a part of the thing, and it's fine that you don't want to join, but it's also fine if you want to do it. And I personally always try to have at least some character in the bands I was part of. For example, with Nervosa, I was really inspired by Max Cavalera, which is, one of the biggest ones there in thrash metal. And with the camo pants and everything, I was like, yeah, I want this to be my signature. So I was always wearing like band t-shirts and camo pants. And that was, it looked simpler, but it was still like a stage outfit, you know, like it was still part of my plan. I just wanted to have like this more of a thrash metal look and everything. And as for Crypta, it's a whole different thing. We wanted to have like, you know, like we wanted to have like this whole, like we are already preparing our stage props, for example, and they are supposed to be something, you know, like they are supposed to tell a story. And the same thing with our outfit. We just thought we wanted to have, you know, like this darker, more aggressive aspect because it's connected to death metal, you know, like we just felt we wanted to create this whole thing, and it's fine, you know, like but I also believe at least with me, I don't know with other musicians, but at least for me, I always liked people who were like big characters on stage. I love that. And to me it's the same. Like, I mean, this is me on my regular routine, and my regular routine doesn't include me playing bass all over the place and like, yeah. And no, I meditate. I do yoga. I play with cats, like strange cats. And I spend some time like reading tarot, and I like watching movies, and I don't do that like with my bass all the time. So it's different things, you know, like it's just different things. I have to put like some certain clothes when I'm doing yoga. And I have to, you know, like, so I think it's part of the activity. And when I am a different person when I am here, and I am a different person when I am on stage. When I'm on stage, like I'm a beast, and it's something natural. It's just the moment. I can't control it. That's me, but that's the moment. So to me, it's a different moment from the moments I live in my daily routine. So to me, it feels like a little bit of a character. And I want to dress accordingly, and I want to act accordingly, you know, like, because it is two different personas, you know, like it's Fernanda there on stage, of course, because sometimes, you know, like I just make jokes on the mic and stuff like that. So it's me, I'm right there, but still like it's not the Fernanda from my daily routine who does yoga and everything. So it's just two different personas, and I like to act and dress accordingly. That's all.
I think people forget. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I think with guys bands mainly, like you don't get people criticizing this a lot. But then with us girls, like we're teenagers, I'm forcing a persona. I'm like, it's hard.
Yeah, it just because it just goes back to the basic old stereotypes. Guys can be pissed off, but women can't, and that's the whole thing about it. That's wrong, you know, and that's not cool at all. But when people forget, you know, it's the same across the board. Once you're plugged in, and once you're in the pocket, and once you're feeling the vibe on stage, I've been able to do that. You know, you put the gear on. It takes you over. You become something else. You do things you would normally do because of what the music does to you. Exactly. I think, people just need to learn, and somehow maybe they can get to this point in acceptance of you guys in this way, that they just need to close their eyes and maybe listen to the music and let that take them over first, and then open their eyes and go, holy shit, yeah, this is killer. Let the music speak first and not the visual.
Yeah, and but also, like, if you close your eyes and listen to our music, I really doubt that anyone would think of me in my yoga pants and like being super relaxed and cute with my crystals. No,
exactly.
They'll probably imagine me like, yeah. That's the persona on stage. That's all. But I think it's getting better. I mean, I've been criticizing this whole territory thing also, and you know, like this gender thing. But I think it's getting better eventually. We have to remember that society's been like this for centuries. It's not on 5 years that within 5 years that everything's going to change and people will get used to it. No, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. That's why my activism, I don't know if that word exists in English, like didactic, I don't know. But like, probably like that. When when you like, instead of like cursing and like you're just trying to teach people from that. So that's how my activism is. Like, for example, when I'm by the merch table and a fan comes and he tries to touch my boob when taking a picture, and it happens a lot, my boob or my butt. And instead of like punching him on the face, which I pretty much would love to, instead I say, you know, what you're doing is not cool. If it was Kerry King, you probably wouldn't be trying touching his butt. So please don't do that with me. We're musicians. We just want the same respect. So can you please not do that? Yes, you can. So that's it. You know, like that's how I'll just hang up my phone here. Everything's happening during this. But yeah, so that's how I try to do. I try to teach, because like most of the times guys don't even know they're being, you know, like misogynist or disrespectful. So I just teach them.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it's getting better and better.
I was talking to Maurizio not too long ago from Cataclysm, and I got this vibe of him, and I don't get a chance to. It was one of my first interviews with him, and the funny thing is that, you know, we see this guy who's been in death metal for years and one of the icons, but he came off as just like this regular guy, dad, you know, family man, taking care of his family, good person, you know, and absolutely real to the core. But we also talk about the music, and we talk about the persona. How much now when we're talking about the 90s, right, where you had to be accessible, you had to be real, right? I hate that guy. I hate that word, real. You got to be real. But do you think that the over the top sometimes pretentiousness, because sometimes there is, you know, in the act of it and everything like that, the staging of everything that goes on, you know, do you think it's essential to metal, i.e. Halford, as we talked about, i.e. Dickinson, instead of just laying it out there and just, you know, jeans, t-shirt, like I said? How much is the over the top pertinent to the success of metal?
I don't know. I think like on the beginning, it was like more essential, let's say. I think for today, it's more like optional.
Okay.
Like,
good. That's a good answer.
Yeah, because nowadays, like we see many bands, like one example, Ginger. They're like huge nowadays. They're huge. And there's nothing extraordinary like visual. Of course, Tatiana herself is like a goddess on stage. She's so mesmerizing. But I mean, there's no like stage props telling a story. The guys are not like, you know, like super metal like looking or whatever. And still like they're huge. They're so successful in so many ways nowadays. So I think it's optional. Like in other hand, there's Ghost. You know, like, which is also huge, but there's this whole magical vibe. And Batushka, for example, also that band. So I think it's optional. I think you can get there either like with this more appealing thing, let's say, either not, but there's ways like, but I don't think it's like essential anymore. And also having this whole thing also can't guarantee nowadays that you will be seen, you know? So I think, yeah.
One more before I let you go.
Yeah, I mean, if you have more questions, let's cover all of them. I'll try and speak like a little bit less and be more direct.
No,
let's make sure we cover all of them.
I've had a great time. It's a great conversation. It's been I just absolutely jazzed talking to you.
Thank you.
This happened. One of my first interviews was actually that I did with ZP Tarrant from Dragon Force from back in the days. And one of the reasons that he split, many different reasons, but one of the reasons was the beginning of the infusion of tracks to the live experience. Now, while a child of the 80s and the 70s, I understand, you know, how that they were used to fill out choruses and, you know, to help out the lead singer during the choruses, especially the high parts. And just to make things bigger. But predominantly, everything was still played live. We're seeing a trend right now that it's scary. We're seeing almost, I'm going to say, maybe 70 to 80% of the bands that are out there are now playing to a multitude of tracks. What does that say to you, being a musician, an accomplished musician, someone who works at their craft, and brings it live. Because the one thing, and I'll end the question like this, and I had this argument this past weekend with somebody at a table, that the live experience is built on the idea and the concept that something could go wrong, something might not sound exactly, and you're cheering the band on to nail it. In other words, you become one of their cheering section. You're wanting them, you're rooting for them to nail it live and say, hey, you know what? They're just as good live as they were on the record.
Get it.
Therefore, that creates that orgasmic live experience. You're kind of on the edge. You're on the edge. You're on the edge, and you're wait, pop the note. Yes. You know, when you play the tracks, that moment doesn't exist anymore, and the true live experience ceases to exist. So why are there more bands trying to be perfect and yet missing the live experience?
I don't know. Like, I couldn't answer this properly because like I go like, if you listen to our album, you see we go exactly the opposite direction. So it would be really hard to me to actually say precisely like why people do that. And I feel like there's many bands doing that. But I mean, I think it depends on what is there on their mind. For example, there might be people who, you know, like there's so much creativity there on their mind that they just need an outlet for that. And on the recording, you have like all the possibilities. So maybe the person just wanted to, like, maybe this is the main thing for this band, you know, like that they wanted to record something exactly like they thought. And as a consequence, there's like people like it and there's the show. So I think there are bands that maybe like their priority is expressing everything that's on their minds on the music, like on a record. So it might be one of the things, and then like the live thing is a consequence, you know, like because people love that work and everything. Another thing, which I believe it is that people, I feel like that people are starting to have like more of a technical eye nowadays, and they're demanding so much of you know, like their idols or their bands and everything. And maybe like some of these bands are just trying to meet the expectations of, you know, like the fans, because if you want to be out there, like you gotta show something people will like, you know, like, so it might be this other thing that people are just trying to meet the more technical expectations that people do have nowadays. But as for so it might be yes, but I don't know. But as for us, as for Crypta, like we try to go like the opposite way, not because we just want to prove whatever. No, it's just what makes us feel comfortable. And you can pretty much notice that on our album because it's so organic. You know, like, of course, it's a powerful master because we wanted that. But it's a very organic sound. Like there's no triggers, for example, like there's not at all. Like we just wanted you to listen to the sound of the drum head and everything. And there's no crazy effects on guitar. There's no like crazy effects on my vocals. They're actually like they're the rawest I ever recorded. And I was like, damn, you know, like they're so raw. You can even listen to it crackling, you know, like the cracking sound of the mic. So we just wanted it to be organic because it fits it matches what we want, what's the purpose we have in our mind for the band. We want as a band that you go to the show and it's like as similar to the recording as possible, because we want you to, you know, like to know what to expect. We don't want you to be disappointed. And I don't know, it's just that. So that's why like we're even careful because like we have like two amazing guitarists and they're so creative. They love creating like this crazy leads and everything, but still we always try to create leads to the point we can play at least most of them live, because, you know, like, to us and to me personally, it doesn't make a lot of sense that it sounds so big on the album and then live, it sounds a little bit empty. I think to me, like it's just weird, you know, like, so we want you to have like a similar experience when you're listening to the album and when you're listening to the live thing, because That's the way we want. And that's like our approach. I respect like other people's approach, other bands' approaches, but this is how we do. As for the other bands, it really depends on what is that they want. One thing, for example, Therion. I don't know how you pronounce it there. Yeah. That band, that Swedish band, I love that band. Oh, man.
Good band.
I just love that band. I love that band. And and they have this whole choir going on and all the elements, like the violins and like orchestrations and everything. Damn, my phone just won't stop ringing. Why are you calling me, people? And I love listening to the albums, and I still love, like watching the band live, but you gotta go prepared that it's two different worlds, first time I watched them, I was like slightly disappointed because I was expecting that whole again, my phone, I'm so sorry.
That's all right. That's okay.
I was a bit disappointed because I was expecting that full thing, like all the orchestrations, but that is just not doable. But still, and that's the point, no, that is not possible. I can't believe it. So now it's going to be off the hook. So yeah, I think I was slightly disappointed that it was not the same thing live, but still, I love Therion as they are on the record. And if they had the same line of thought that I have, we wouldn't have amazing songs. So it's hard. It's hard. I think it's hard. I love Therion as it is, with all the orchestrations. And they did have the chance to do with some live orchestra and a whole choir and everything. And I would love to have seen that. But I love the songs either way.
Yeah, but you can't tour with it. It's way too expensive.
No, there's no
way you could afford that tour. Yeah.
There's no way. So yeah, it will be pretty much different live. But still, I wouldn't like them to have thought just like me and let's just go raw, because I love their records. I love that so much. It's amazing music to hear. So I think for the fans, if you can understand that it's going to be two different words, it's fine. So it's a tricky subject. It's tricky. Yeah. I love this interview. It's really cool. Thank you so much for taking the time and just this chance of having me talking about my work and everything, mainly on this restart I'm having right now. It truly means a lot. So thank you so much.
I've had an awesome time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye. You
Bye-bye.
too.